Hi, I'm sitting here with Karen, Julian's mom.
Hello.
In BTC, Miami. And we're going to talk about Julian and his beautiful changes and how mom feels about BTC so that you guys can get, a sense of what it is that we're doing here. So tell us a little bit about Julian, what's going on, his age, everything.
So Julian is now 5 years old. He will be starting kindergarten in August. Julian got diagnosed when he was 2. He was a very happy baby. He was very we have no family history of autism. We had no idea that this was coming. And he very happy baby, started to say a few words, and then suddenly those words were gone.
Okay.
And then he went from being a very smiley, happy baby to just kind of like, the only way I can describe it is like going into himself. And then he was no longer interested in playing with us or interacting with the family. He wanted to be by himself, off to the side. So we noticed something was off, and at his 16-month checkup, the pediatrician was like, we should definitely get him evaluated for speech because he wasn't saying any words anymore.
Okay.
But she's like, he's a little too young for autism, so let's wait until he turns 2. Okay. So once he turned 2, the pediatrician said, okay, I'm going to refer you to a neurologist, and we'll take a look. So when the neurologist saw him, if you prompt him, he's very friendly with you, right? Like if you get into his world.
Okay.
So when the neurologist started playing with him and all that, he was like, oh, I don't really see a lot of autism, but I'm going to give you the diagnosis because I think that he will benefit a lot from therapy.
Okay.
So we started, ABA, speech, OT, and this was when he was 2. So 2 years went by and the progress was very minimal.
Okay.
And not only was the progress minimal, but I felt like he was getting worse. Not so much worse that he was, his behavior was getting worse, but when I would compare him to other 3-year-olds, other 4-year-olds, I really saw like, oh my God, he's really falling behind.
Okay.
So one day I'm on YouTube and just, researching anything that I can find, like I did every single day, trying to find ways of helping him because it just felt like therapy wasn't working. I was switching therapists. I was desperate. And I find a testimonial for here. And I see this mom talking about how it made such a change in her life. I saw that other states also have BTC centers and they also were giving amazing testimonials. So I said, I have to give this a try. I have to see. So when I called, they were very, very welcoming, very friendly. It was a very simple process, really, just to come in for the initial, this was when he was still 4, last summer. Okay. So he came in for the initial
evaluation.
EEG.
Yeah,
okay. the EEG, and then told me he was a good candidate for it, and we started 6 weeks of MeRT.
Okay.
For the first 2 weeks of MeRT, I didn't do any dietary changes because I really didn't know how to even begin. And then when I met with the neurologist here, she was the one that guided me on like different websites and different people that I could follow and different ways. And then I spoke with you at one point, and I really got into the gluten-free, dairy-free, and that's basically what we do with Julian. He's completely dairy-free. He's completely gluten-free, which was actually harder to do than dairy-free. Gluten-free is very difficult to find, and you really have to go to basically the Whole Foods and those type of stores.
Yeah. Well, the reason why we always recommend it is because the brain is connected to the intestine.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have our children with gut inflammation, the brain won't respond as fast. And so you were here for 2 weeks and then you started making the dietary changes.
Exactly.
Okay, so what happened those 6 weeks?
So in the first 2 weeks, we did the second EEG to see the progress, and the progress was minimal, but it was there.
Okay.
Physically, I wasn't seeing a difference yet.
Okay.
And that's when the doctor told me, you really need to combine this. Oh, sugar-free was another one. You really need to combine this with sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free. And then I started following all the different Instagram pages that she recommended me. She gave me like a folder with, and then I did, and it really sunk in that I was like, I need to make this change. Yeah. And it had to be gradual because, as we know, kids on the spectrum have a very difficult time with experimenting with new foods. The hardest thing for us was gluten-free. Dairy was very simple to remove.
Okay. So once you got this diet,
once we got the diet, I remember the first thing, I remember you telling me, something I never forgot, when you asked me, he looks like he's skinny everywhere, and then he has a belly that's distended. And I said, I know, we've always said that he's chubby. And you were like, that may not be the case. And that really stuck with me because this whole time we thought, el gordito, that's just how he is, he's just a chubby kid.
And it was inflammation.
And it was inflammation. And but as the days went on, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, we realized his stomach started to just go down. And it was it wasn't like a soft belly either. It was like a little hard. And when it just started to go down, all of a sudden it was like, you look at him now and he has no belly whatsoever.
Amazing.
You know, and obviously for aesthetics, that's great, right? But the reality is that what that showed me was that this was working and the inflammation was going down. Once we saw that my, I knew that we had found like the power combo, which was MeRT with the dietary change. I don't think that you see the same results with one without the other. I think the two together is what makes all the difference. And so once we made those changes, we really started to see the benefits of MeRT coming through, where he was more alert, he was more present. One big thing that is missing in kids on the spectrum is that they're present, that they're here, they're not in another world. And he still had moments, obviously he would go back and forth, but my therapist and everyone would tell me it's easier now to get him back. You know, so we're able to get him back in. He started saying his first words, which we had gotten basically 2-3 words out of therapy only. And he started to finally be able to repeat words, say words, attempt to initiate words, you know, like that. Eye contact improved tremendously. And he really started to kind of become as much as I hate to say it this way, a person.
I used to say that too. It's like my daughter used to be like a little body without a soul in it. It's weird, but it feels that way because they're not so present.
Right.
So you feel like he came into himself and into your family.
Exactly. And then we started to, so MeRT was 6 weeks. And like I said, every day we saw a difference. And one day, once MeRT was over, the doctor explained to me how, you know, it's not over here. Like, as time progresses and you continue the diet, you're going to see changes. Continue. And that's exactly what I saw. And then fast forward to, you know, the time after MeRT, he starts VBK. He goes from being a child who has to be called on for him to look at you once, to suddenly being the kid that you could just say, Julian, and he would turn on and look. And if he would be in his own little world and he was called on by the teacher, he would actually stop and look at the teacher. As the year went on, he became able to learn the alphabet, shapes, colors. These are things that kids in pre-K2, pre-K3 can do, he still couldn't do. And it's almost like MeRT gave him the ability to catch up 3 years into 1 year. And as that progressed, when we finished this school year, they always do a VPK test to see if they're ready for kinder. He came out above average.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And that just left me, you know, like in shock. Even the teachers, everyone, they were in tears when they told me. They were just like, we cannot believe that Julian is here from where he started. You know, and then when at his VPK graduation, they actually gave him, I have the photos, I have the videos, they gave him the most improved award of all the kids, you know, so it was an incredible thing. By that point, I had already scheduled this year's MeRT because I wanted to make sure to start from a different, you know, it's like we started from the bottom and now we're starting from like the middle, let's say, you know.
Yeah,
so
give him another push.
Right, so I really wanted to see what another round of treatments could do to his progress. And so we're in week 3 now. And
of his second treatment.
And already he's a child that's starting to initiate conversation, because, you know, we had words but no conversation. Now he's trying to initiate conversation. Now he'll try to get my attention for things. So if I'm driving and he sees a train, he'll tell me, Mama, look, train, you know, and he'll name me the color. I'll say, oh, what color is the train? The train is yellow. You know, he'll see things. He'll see train tracks and know that that's where a train goes. And then he'll tell me, where's the train? Oh, you know, just he's reasoning. He's playing with his siblings. That was another thing. He was not playing with his siblings at all. We actually started swimming lessons right before starting MeRT, and you know, it was challenging. He was scared, and you know, and when we had our first lesson on week 2, which was last week, the swim instructor was like, "Who is this kid? Like, what happened?" Like, it's like she's like, everything I've been teaching him, it's like it all came together today. You know, and she doesn't know, like, she had no idea that he was doing MeRT or anything. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, like, he's been so scared and nervous and anxious. And then today, he just did everything. It's like he knew it. It was in his head. Oh. And he just released it today.
Like he finally had access to that part of the brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just been so many things like that. His therapists are telling me he's picking up on concepts that they've been trying all year. One big thing that they try with speech, for example, is something that they call generalization. So if they show him an apple, banana, whatever. What is this? What is it all together? Fruit.
Right.
He didn't get the concept of fruit. He would just individually name each thing.
Okay.
Now he will look at them and say fruit. He will look at different foods and say, when he sees them all together, he'll say food, not just pizza, this, that, the other, So it's just, generalization is a very big thing in speech, where the pathologist even told me, like, I can finally move forward with my treatment plan because he generalized. And we've been trying to generalize all year. No, since the beginning, since he was 2.
Oh my gosh.
So there's just so many things. We're seeing so many changes, so many different things. We actually went to his little sister's ballet recital on Sunday, and he sat through the whole show. No tantrum, no complaints. And not only that, he watched the show.
He might enjoy it.
He was like bopping his head to the show. Like, he in an auditorium, they turn off the lights. Normally that would give him, like, he'll start screaming because the lights are off. He did not mind at all. Loud music, big lights, none of that affected him.
Oh my
None of
gosh.
that affected him. And we were all in shock because I was going, like, prepared. I'm like, let me bring the iPad. Let me, we sat on the aisle to make sure to be able to escape really fast. We were ready. My husband and I, we were ready to, like, make a run for it. And at no point did he complain. He loved it. He enjoyed the show. So we're like, maybe we can actually try the movies for the first time. Maybe we can actually try to do things as a family again. A lot of the time we just stay home because we're, scared. We're scared of reactions, and we're scared of what might happen. But we're gonna try. We're definitely gonna try, and it's all because of this. Without this, I don't know where we'd be where he was when he was 2. Because from what I saw, therapy alone was not gonna it wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't gonna happen with that. The push wasn't gonna be there.
And I'm so happy. I can't even, begin to tell you how grateful I am that you're, giving us this testimony, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. Without doubt, you'll help other people. Is there any other advice or anything else you would like to tell anybody who is watching, anything about anything, even if it's not about MeRT, as a parent?
The main thing, and again, this was a conversation you and I had, and it stuck with me, is whatever people think about your children is none of your business. It is their business. And any shift in mindset that you can do, where you eventually can stop caring about what people think and just be there for your child in the moments of tantrums, in the moments of, maybe you're worried people are looking at them because they're doing something that makes them look different than the other kids. It doesn't matter. You're never going to see those people again. What matters is your connection with your child. And then when it comes to MeRT, I will say that it's something to definitely look into and consider if it's something that you can do. But if not, then diet. Everyone can do diet. Everyone can attempt dairy-free, gluten-free. It's a lot. I understand. Dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free. You're asking for 3 things that most children on the spectrum is all they eat, right?
Yeah.
So what I did, and I believe you told me to do this as well, was 1 at a time.
Yeah, just little by little. And there's professionals, and we can definitely guide you.
Yeah.
We're now guiding our patients, because bottom line, like, our kids have inflammation.
Yeah.
And so that's why we see a lot of regression, intestinal inflammation that becomes brain inflammation. And so our job, here in BTC is to neuromodulate the brain. We want to make, Julian's brain process in a way that he can understand the world the way it is and live in it comfortably, right? But it's really hard for us to do that when there are children who are filled with parasites and bugs and bacteria, and they're eating pizza all day. And the reason why they're eating pizza all day is because it feeds the bugs. And so there's obviously a way to, that we can help manage all of it in an integral way. Like, that's just my dream. It truly is, to hear stories like yours and see, Julian has come so far.
And I will tell you too, it helps. And we started to do it as a family, which again is hard to do. We have 2 other children, but what really makes the difference is if everyone can be on the same page. Again, I know it's very difficult, but with time, we're all trying to get there. We've given up dairy completely as well. We're getting to the point of, getting rid of everything that has gluten and
but
things.
But they're foods that inflame. I mean, they everybody can do as
benefit from it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's important because the kids will see you. If I'm sitting there eating ice cream and I'm saying, "Oh, well, you can't have it. Sorry," it's just not right.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So we all have to put in the effort. And it benefits our other children, and it benefits us as young adults. We need to be, healthy and good for our children. We still need to be here for them.
Mm.
So, you know, I've learned so much from this experience. I thought I was coming in here to do an experimental treatment on my kid's brain, and what I ended up learning from coming here is so much more than that. You know, yes, of course, the treatment makes so much of a difference, but the diet is, you know, hand in hand, and that I would not have learned. I mean, I would have read, I would have found, I would have Googled, but in the end, actually being able to speak to someone, being able to just having that access to, you know, nutritionists and information and fact sheets, that these are things that you aren't really going to find on Google. It's experts that deal with this on an everyday basis. It just makes such a difference.
I'm so happy.
It really does.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. This is a beautiful testimony. I hope you guys enjoyed it.